Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one we are going to continue some AZ400 labs, and in particular we're going to do the version controlling with Git in Azure Repos. This is going to be the module 4, scaling Git for enterprise DevOps. Okay, we had a similar lab. If I go back over here under labs, so the version controlling with Git in Azure, so we have already completed that, so you can go back and take a look at that. So we are really working on the AIM04 version controlling with Git in Azure. Okay, so again, Azure DevOps, it supports two different types of version controls, Git and the Team Foundation that we already talked about. The Team Foundation is a centralized version control system. Okay, these days Git has really taken over all the world, and it's a distributed version control system, and these repositories, the Git repositories, can live locally on a developer's machine, and you can commit each set of changes on their dev machine and perform version control operations such as history and compare without a network connection. So that's great, and when you are ready to merge your code, you will go and merge to the master branch, and we're going to see some of these features in the lab today. So Git is the default version control provider for new projects, even in Azure DevOps, and you should use Git for version control in your projects unless you have a very specific need for the centralized version control features in Team Foundation version control. Okay, so in this particular lab we're going to look at how to work with branches in Azure Repos, and we're also going to work with repositories in Azure Repos. This lab should take about 30 minutes and we should be done. So this section I'm going to ignore because I'm just going to do this using my Ubuntu system that I'm using at the moment. It's Ubuntu 20. But all you need is a computer with the connection to the internet, and you need Visual Studio Code, and you need the Git. So let's see if I have Visual Studio. So if I come over here and just Visual Studio Code, I see that I have that one. And if I open up my command window, do a clear and just do a Git, and I know that the Git is available to me. So that's all I needed, right? So Git again, so you have all the Git commands that are available to me. So I have both, and I can do this lab without much problem. So the first thing that we need to do, we do need to configure the lab prerequisite, and just like any other work that we have been doing, we gotta go to the DevOps demo generator template, and we need the Visual Studio Code configuration. So first thing, configure the team project, and again we're going to use the parts unlimited template. So let's click on this DevOps demo generator. So let's open up in a new window, and the utility site will automate the process of creating a new Azure DevOps project within your account that is pre-populated with context, work items, repos required for the lab. So you have already seen that one. So let's see, first we gotta sign in. So let's just click on the sign in, and SSO should be enabled, and you should be able to sign in just like that. Okay, so let's see what is the name of the project that we want to have. Click sign in. So this is done. If required on the Azure DevOps demo generator page, click accept. Oh, I don't know if we did that. If you see this, say accept. Create new project is this page is already here, right? The create new project. So what we want to do, excuse me, we're gonna create a new project. The name of the project is going to be version controlling with Git in Azure Repos. So copy that one. Let's put that in our project name, and start organization. I'm just going to use the cloud security and training. That's going to be my organization, and the template, it will come up, and I'm going to choose the parts unlimited. That is the one that I think the lab is asking us to do. Parts unlimited template, and back on the new create new project page, click create project. So come back over here. So in this one, all you need to do is hit create project, and your project should be created, and you should see some green ticks appearing as more things get created. So let's come back over here, So that's pretty much all you need to do to set up your project and configure the project. So it should be very familiar if you are following the other labs, like the first 4 labs that we have done similar stuff. Shouldn't be anything new. So the next thing is install and configure Git and Visual Studio Code. Now this, I have other videos how to download and configure Git. Should be very simple, and you just go to Git. So it's just, while this is going on, let's just come back over here. So Git, if you just go to Git download, okay, so you should come to the download page, and it can't be any more simple than that. You just download the package that you want if you're using Mac, Windows or Linux, and just go through the standard installation. You can also install it using the command line if you like, but very standard and very easy to install. So I'm gonna skip that part in here. Again, Visual Studio Code is also very simple to install. So if you go over here, again, you will get your file. Since I'm using Ubuntu, Microsoft, like this web page is smart, and it's just telling me, hey, do you need the deb? It's for the Ubuntu, or the RPM for the Red Hat. So for myself, I'm going to download this if I need to reinstall. Or you can just go and click on the other platforms. If I need the Windows, I'll go there. Mac, I'll go there, and that's it. You get your Visual Studio Code. So let's see. So I can close out this browser, and I'm hoping that you have successfully installed. And what we need to do, if we don't have Visual Studio C+ extension installed yet, in the web browser window, navigate to the C# extension installation page and install it. So let's come back to our Visual Studio Code, and let's see if we have the Visual Studio Code. So C#. So what I'll do, I'll come back over here and C# extension installation page. So you can open up this one. I just need to copy this thing. Okay, C# by Microsoft, C# for Visual Studio Code. So this is, I'm gonna copy this one, come back to code, and see which button or which icon I'm clicking. So this is this icon right here. So if you hover over extensions, or you can also press Ctrl+Shift+X, and I'm gonna click and paste C# for Visual Studio Code, and see this C# for the Visual Studio Code appears. And I already have this installed. That's the reason it's saying uninstall, because I already have it. So if you don't have it, so you see a nice install button right at the bottom of this box, to the right bottom. Just click on the install, and you have it installed to your system, and that's about it. I'm gonna get rid of this. So let's see what else do we need to do to configure. Now in this one, Visual Studio Code interface, from the main menu, select terminal, new terminal to open the terminal pane. So over here, what we'll do, we'll close out what we have here, and close out this window, close out some of this stuff, and we go to terminal, and this should be good. And what it's asking, make sure that the current terminal is running PowerShell by checking the drop down list. Okay, so since I'm using Ubuntu machine, my default terminal is Bash, and if I want to use a PowerShell, what I'll do, I'll have to click the new terminal, and let's see, I still don't have the Bash. So let's see, how do I install? So you gotta click on here. Okay, so don't click the plus button, click the drop down and click on the PWSH. Okay, so that is going to give you the PowerShell window that you want. If you're using Windows, you probably automatically by default are going to have the PowerShell available to you, so you don't have to worry about this. So see, now this command line, it's look like it's a PowerShell and not a Bash, right? So we have the PowerShell available to me right now. Over here in the terminal pane, run the following command below to configure the credential helper. So this one I'm going to ignore, and these two you have to configure the git global user and put your username, and a git config global user email, and then put your username. Run these two commands. I already have this configured for my Git, so I don't need to do that. So the first thing that we're gonna do, we are going to use Visual Studio Code to clone the Git repository you provision as part of the previous exercise. Okay, so cloning the repository, I have done some videos, so let's see if my cloning is still going to work. Only thing where you may get stuck with the cloning is your password. So you gotta have some way to talk to the Git and get the code downloaded to your system. Okay, so and there are different ways to do that. So let's see what they're saying. In this task, you step through the process of cloning a Git repository by using Visual Studio Code. There are many ways to do that. If needed, start a web browser, navigate to the Azure DevOps organization, and open the version controlling with Git in Azure Repos. So let's just go get rid of this. And this is all done. So sorry, not create project. I wanted to go to our Azure DevOps. So I'll do dev.azure.com. Let's see if we have this project created now, and then just do sign in, and let's see what happens. Okay, so if you do the sign in, I'm signed in, but it's not showing anything. Well, what you need to do, you need to come down over here, already have an account, sign in to Azure DevOps. So you have to click on that particular link, and I think this is going to take you to where we want to be. So now we are here. So you see a whole bunch of projects because we have been creating different projects for different labs that we are doing. Now this is the one that we created for this particular lab, version controlling with Git in Azure Repos. So click on that one. So this one has the repo, the boards, the pipeline, the artifact, whole bunch of stuff already set up for us. So let's see what we need to do. Projects in previous exercise. In the vertical navigation pane of the DevOps interface, select the repos. Repos is where we typically save our code. So click on repos. So that's my repo. And let's see what we need to do. In the upper right corner of the Parts Unlimited plan, click clone. So over here, click clone, and this is going to give you HTTPS or SSH URL that you're going to use to clone this repository back to your local machine. Okay, let's come back over here and read these notes. Okay, getting a local copy of Git repo is called cloning. If you're familiar with Git, you probably already know that. Every mainstream development tool supports this and will be able to connect to Azure Repos to pull down the latest source of to work with. So on the clone repository pane with the HTTPS command line option selected, select copy to clipboard. So this time we're not using SSH. If you do, then you have to manage the SSH keys. We are using the HTTPS. Now see, generate Git credentials. I hope that you have that. Now you can also do this in, like, if you see IDE, there are a whole bunch of IDE support in here, right? Android Studio, C Lion, Data Grip. I haven't even used half of those. IntelliJ IDE I have used, PyCharm I have used, Visual Studio Code, of course, we use it all the time. Some of the rest of the items I don't even use the IDEs. So if you want to use the IDE, you can just click on this one, clone in Visual Studio Code. Let's see what the lab is suggesting us to do. So over here, they said copy to clipboard. So let's just try to follow what the lab is saying. So we're gonna copy this one when the HTTPS is selected, and then come back over here. You can use the URL with any Git compatible tool. That's good. Close the clone repository planner, switch to the Visual Studio Code, click the view menu, and click the command palette. So come back to Visual Studio Code and view menu and command palette. So here we gotta do a git clone. I bet that is what they're gonna ask to do, git clone command. So let's just again come back over here, view, command palette, so git clone, and then it's saying provide the repository URL or pick a repository source. Okay, so I'm just gonna paste the whole URL in here and hit enter and see what happens. Now it's asking me to choose repository location. Before we choose, I'm gonna go back and make sure that I'm following the lab direction as it says. So provide the repository URL or pick a repository source. We have done that. Select folder, navigate to something, and then we just need to select a folder and name Git. So I may have created a folder Git. Let's just go to documents, Git. Okay, Git, I already have a parts unlimited, so maybe I'm going to rename this folder if I can. Let's see, can I rename from here? I cannot rename for here. So what I'll do, I'll just just create a new folder. So M4 Git is a module for Git, what I'm going to use, and then select repository location. Okay, now this is kind of tricky. Okay, this is where you have to kind of keep an eye on this. Okay, and make sure that your cloning is actually successful. Usually it does not take that long to get everything cloned to your system. If you see there's a problem, it's taking a long time, you know that it's not working properly, and we'll see what's happening there. So now why this is going on, I'm going back over here. I want to go back, and I'm going to come back to my profile, and I want to go to the SSH public key because I have already set up the SSH public key. So what I probably need to do, instead of providing the SSH key, let's try this with the let's go back with the SSH key, because that's the authentication I have set up. So let's just go back over here, clone, and instead of HTTPS, let's just try using the SSH, because that's the way I have set up my environment. So if you're using this, you gotta use your Git credentials. Okay, so this is not gonna work for me, so I'm gonna cancel this one. So it's really asking for the Git password over here, right? So you gotta provide the password to the Git repository. Actually, I can try this for a second. I don't know if this is gonna, let me pause the video, put the password, and see if this works first. Okay, it's actually not giving the password, it's the dot, so I can actually type it as I speak. I don't know, this is probably the right password maybe. So let's see. Okay, well, what we wanted to do one more time. Let's command palette git clone. We wanted to redo this, and HTTPS, copy this one, paste this and hit enter, go back to documents and M4 Git and select repo. Now it's asking for password. The other thing that I want to do, I can click on Git credential, copy the password, and come over here and put it here and hit enter, and now you see that you are able to download this. Okay, so that's how you are going to download a repository. And by the way, I'm going to delete that password and recreate, so please do not try to pause and try to get to the password. It's not going to work. Now it's asking, would you like to open the clone repository or add it to the current workspace? So whichever you want, you can do that. I can just say open in a new window, so I get a new fresh Visual Studio instance with this. So just like that, I have this particular one, so I'm going to go and close the old one. There we go. So now I have this and everything is ready for me. This is the repo that we have just cloned. So let's just come back over here, go back to where? Go back to our instructions. So we have done, so our cloning is now done. Once prompted, click open. So we got this one. So now the next thing that we are going to do, we are moving to exercise 2. Here we are going to manage the branches from Azure DevOps. Now in this exercise, you're going to work with the branches by using Azure DevOps. You can manage your repo branches directly from Azure DevOps portal, in addition to functionality available within Visual Studio Code. So this is something cool. So you can, I mean, Git has this similar type of feature. You can manage your repos and branches on the web, or you can do it using the Visual Studio Code or even command line, whichever you want. So the first task we have is about creating a new branch. So typically when you work on a particular feature or particular small task, you don't want to create your work on the develop branch, or definitely not on the master branch. So typically in a Git flow, you will have a master branch and a develop branch, and you will fork from the develop branch and you will create your own branch. You will work on it, you push the code back to the develop branch, and when everything is tested and everything looks good, you will time to time you will merge your develop branch to the master branch. So here our goal is to create a new branch. So here we are going to use Azure DevOps portal, looks like, and use the fetch it by Google by the Visual Studio Code. So switch to the web browser to the Azure DevOps organization with the version controlling repos projects. We are already there. So if you come over here, so I'm already here. So what we need to do in the web browser, navigate to the commits pane of the project and select branches. Over here, if you go to the commits pane and select branches, so here are all the branches that I have, and we probably need to create a new branch, right? So on the branches, click on new branch. On the in the create a new branch panel, in the name text box, type release. Ensure that the master appears in the based on drop down list. So we're going to create a release branch based on the master branch. In the work items to link drop down list, select one or more available work items and click create. So again, over here, click on master, new branch. So release is the name of the branch based on a master branch. And what do you want to add? So you can add one, you can add multiple, this, you can add something else. So in this particular branch that you are creating, you're saying, okay, I'm gonna go do and finish these 3 tasks. Typically you would probably for each topic or each story, maybe you don't add the epic, you create a task and you have a branch, you finish working, you push it back to the branch again, master branch again, you create a new branch and work on the new task. Okay, now that's all we need to do. Now hit create. So it should create the branch for us, right? So now you see this branch has now changed to the release over here. If you remember, it was a master branch to begin with. There is the default branch, but since we created a new branch and we want to work on that branch, so it's now changed to the release branch. So let's come back over here. Now we can switch back to the Visual Studio. Control Shift P to get this command palette again, and we're going to run the git fetch command from the Visual Studio. So come back over here again, Control Shift P and then git fetch, and then hit enter, and it's asking me for the password again, and this time I'm just gonna pause and get the password. Alright, I have copied the password and we provided that to my command palette, and it should update the origin branches in the local snapshot. In the lower corner of the Visual Studio Code, click on the master entry again. So now what we'll do, we'll go back over here. So here if we click on it, here is my release branch. So previously we didn't know about the release branch. Now we created the release branch from the web. Now we did a git fetch and we got this branch. So what we need to do, we need to select this branch so we can start working in that branch and not mess with the master branch anymore. So click again, select the origin release branch. Now if you look at over here, now you are in the release branch at the moment. Okay, so we are done with this task. Excuse me. So the next task is delete and restore a branch. In this task you will use the Azure DevOps portal to delete and restore the branch you created in the previous task. So let's go back to the web browser. and then in the branches pane, on the mine tab of the branches pane, hover the mouse pointer to the release branch entry to reveal the ellipsis symbol to the right side. So over here, click and mine, then release, then see the ellipses. I don't even see. So if you come back over here, you just have to go over here and do something most likely. So let's just go over, take a look what they're saying. Release branch entry to reveal the ellipsis symbol on the right. Click the ellipsis on the pop-up menu, select delete branch. When prompted for confirmation, click delete. So did you see that? So release branches and then release branch. I don't see the ellipsis right here. So what do we do? So we come back over here. Let's see if we can delete. Is not available here either. So okay, let's do this. So hide file tree. So now I'm in release. It's still not here. So let's just go back to branches and let's see mine and then release branch, and right there is the option, and from here you can create the delete branch. Okay, so if you can't find it over here, this is the way you have to do it. So you come back to repos, go to branches, find the branch. This is the release branch, and to the very right you have the ellipsis. You have to click on that one, click on delete branch. It's gonna ask you, hey, are you sure you want to do that? You're gonna say yes. Let me make sure, and click delete on the mine tab. So let's just delete it first. So that's it. So it should be gone. On the mine tab of the branches pane, select the all tab. So here is the all tab. On the all tab branches, in the search branch name, type the release. So let's come back over here. So here I'm gonna review and try to find that branch. So it says deleted branches. Look at that. Isn't it surprising? That branch got deleted. Yeah, that's what you did. So we know that it worked. So review the deleted branch section containing the entry representing the newly deleted branch. In the deleted branches section, hover mouse to the release branch entry to reveal the ellipsis. Click on the ellipsis in the pop-up menu and select restore. So if you want to restore the branch, so that's very easy. So you come back over here, release branch, come back over here, click on restore, and voila, you got your release branch back again. So it's not deleted. Isn't that wonderful? So we are done with our task 2, where we have learned how to delete a branch and restore that from the web portal. Now the next thing that we're going to learn is how to lock and unlock a branch. In this task, we're going to use the Azure DevOps portal to lock and unlock the master branch. Now, when do you want to use locking? Locking is great when you want to prevent new changes that may introduce more trouble for your master branch. Like you are going to have an important merge, and you know that it may cause some problem. So you can even use branch policies and pull requests instead of locking if you want to. Like once somebody wants to merge, it has to go through 5 reviews and there shouldn't be any problem with the code. Things like that you can do. Okay, so locking, it does not prevent cloning of a repo or fetching updates made in branch into your local repo. If you lock a branch, share it with your team the reason for locking and make sure they know what to do to work with the branch after it's locked. Okay, so the steps that we're going to follow, we're going to go back to the web browser, and we're going to go to the master branch, and again on the ellipsis we're going to say lock. So pretty simple. So come back over here, mine master branch, that's the default. Click ellipsis and then lock, and that's about it. So you now have a branch, the master branch, that is now locked. So come back over here on the mine tab, branches pane, hover over the mouse to the master branch entry to leave with the ellipsis to the right side. And again, if you want to unlock, So again, just like the way we restore, and again you click, and since it's locked, you don't have that lock button available anymore. It's now unlocked, so you can click on unlock. Now it's unlocked. So we have done that. So we have now learned how to lock and unlock a branch. The next thing that we're going to learn is tag release. Okay, tag is a lot of people use the tag like you have a production release or a beta release or a test release, something like that, and there's a standard tagging that people would follow within a company that just follow your standard, and we'll see how it's done with Azure Repo. So again, what they are saying, the product team has decided the current version of the site should be released as version 1.1.0 beta. So what we want to do, in the vertical navigation pane of the Azure Repo, we're going to look at tags. In the tags pane, we're going to click on new tag. So tags, and then a new tag, and we have to provide the information about the tag and which branch that we're going to add the tag to. So over here, the name is going to be v1.1.0-beta, and based on the master branch, and a description we're going to type something as well. So let's first fill out this information, come back, get that information, and put it as a description, hit create, and voila, you have the master branch. Okay, now it's got this particular tag attached to it. Okay, so let's come back over here. So note, you have now tagged the project at this release. You could tag commits for a variety of reasons, and Azure DevOps offers the flexibility to edit and delete them, as well as manage their permissions. Okay, so we have done our second exercise as well. So the last one is really manage repositories. So in this exercise, you will use the Azure DevOps portal to create and delete a Git repository in Azure DevOps. So it's a full repository that we're gonna mess with. You can create Git repos in Teams project to manage your project source code. Each Git repo has its own set of permissions and branches, and that's how you isolate, one repo from others, work from one group from another. So let's create a new repo from the Azure DevOps. So what we will do, we're gonna go back to the web portal, go to the Azure DevOps, and we're just gonna go down to the repository, and then we're gonna click on new repository. Okay, so over here, right over here, if you click on the plus sign, so we are still in Azure Repo and this is the project, and you just need to click on the new repository. And here, what kind? Okay, so again, the two options are the TFVC, Team Foundation Version Control, and Git, and Git is the default, so that's what we're going to use. And we're going to provide a repository name, and let's give the name new repo. That's a very interesting name, wouldn't you think? So let's put it there and hit create. So that should give me a new repo for us. Okay, so let's see. If I go back to repos now, I should have the new repo available to us. So let's just go back and see what else that we need to. Okay, there are a few other things. When you create, a lot of people, if you're familiar with the Git, you will see that you can create a readme file, and you can also create your git ignore files as well. So do some research on that, and if you want to create, you can do that as well. The last thing is delete and rename the GitHub, the Git repos. In this task, we're gonna go and rename that particular repo that we have just created. So what we want to do, we want to go to the project settings and scroll down to repos and click on repositories. So come back over here, project settings, and repos, and then repositories, right? So here I have got two different repos, right? So what do I need to do? In the repositories, over the new repo, what we will do, we can delete the new repo to delete it. So let's just come back over here. So we can also try the rename feature as we are here. New repo renamed. So that should rename my new repo. And if I want to completely get rid of it, I'll just click on it and say delete. And now they're saying, hey, you gotta completely copy and type out the exact name so that we know that you are absolutely sure about the deleting this particular project. And we say, yeah, man, just go ahead and delete it. So we have deleted our repo that we just created. So in this lab, what you have really learned is how to clone the repo, right, that we have learned. And we have learned how to use really the web portal to create a new branch, how to create the tags. So again, if you come back over here, go back to your project setting overview. So we really work with the repos, okay, and let's see where we are. New repo was not found. Okay, so this parts unlimited is this repo. Let's go to this repo because we deleted the new repo, right? So we worked on how to download, how to copy this repo. Okay, so we cloned the repo, and then we did it using the Visual Studio Code. We used Git credential. You could also do the SSH and see other videos how to do that. Then we went really down to the branches, okay, and here we created a new branch, okay, so NB new branch, and we added based on what branch, and we added some work items, created the branch. Once the branch is created, okay, we also deleted the branch, and we can also lock the branch. We can also we didn't really work on the branch policies, or we haven't looked at some advanced features, but we deleted the branch, okay. Then we went down to the tags. We added a tag to the main branch, and last thing that we did, we created a new repo. So right now I have only one repo, is the part unlimited. We can also click over here to add a new repo and test new repo, and we didn't really add a git ignore file. If you want, you can, but we just said okay, create, and as soon as we did that, it changed back to the new repo that we created. We can also come back to the other repo, and to delete that repo, what we did, we went down to the project and then went down to the repos and then deleted this new repo that we just created, and we had to type in the exact name of the repo. Alright, hopefully you liked the quick summary of the video as well. If you like the video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. That helps my channel just a little. And happy learning Azure DevOps. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.